After spotting the Browns a 28-0 lead, Pittsburgh actually was within 11 and threatening to be within 4 before they turned the ball over again. This was in no way, shape, or form a we dominated you based upon our 11 against your 11. That wasn't the case. That game was won because anything that could have went wrong for the Steelers in that first quarter. I think a lot of people are looking at that and say, "Wow, look at what we did. We beat the hell out of this team." I mean, they're below us. They're beneath us. No. You didn't. You took advantage of a lot of stupidity and a lot of turnovers. But you didn't beat this team per se. The turnovers and the anything that could go wrong went wrong in the first quarter for the Steelers. Lost that game. I would be very hesitant if I were a Browns fan to sit back and say, well, we've finally solved Pittsburgh. No, you haven't. You beat them in the last game of the regular season, which, by the way, nothing was on the line. Steelers were already the AFC North champs. There was nothing on the line except Cleveland's postseason lives. As if you had lost the game, Cleveland doesn't get into the playoffs. But there wasn't anything on the line for the Steelers. Steelers were already in the playoffs. They were already the AFC North champs. There wasn't anything on the line. The playoff game, again, anything that could have went wrong in that first quarter. I would be very, very hesitant to sit back and say, hey, you know what, we're already better than Pittsburgh. And there's a lot of folks that have seemed to have skipped over the team that honestly beat you twice, and they're better than Cleveland, and that's Baltimore. Do I think Cleveland gets to the playoffs this year? I think they have a reasonably good chance. Do I think Cleveland wins the AFC North this year? I think they have a decent chance. Do I think that Cleveland is a top 4 team in the AFC? Right now, no. Right now, Kansas City is obviously number 1. Buffalo's number 2. Baltimore is number 3. And based upon the fact that Tennessee picked up Julio Jones, even though I don't like their defense in any way, shape, or form, and they're going to have to outscore some people high 30s, low 40s to win the game. And I'm not really convinced that Tennessee's going to be able to do that. Tennessee and Indianapolis are kind of, sort of, and Cleveland are kind of, sort of jockeying for that 4th position, and Pittsburgh. And they're kind of jockeying for that 4th position. Now, you notice I just picked 4 teams jockeying for the 4th position. And not too far behind those 4 teams are the 2 teams coming out of the AFC East and the 1 team out of the AFC West. And honestly, let me backtrack, because I got to put the Chargers in that group along with Kansas City's 1, Buffalo's 2, Baltimore is 3, and you got 5 teams trying to figure out who's the 4th best team. I'm going to throw the Chargers in there. So I got the Chargers, I got the Colts, I got the Titans, I got the Browns, and I got the Steelers, all jockeying for position to see who the number 4 team is prior to the start of the season. If you were to do power ratings right now, all 5 of those teams would be circling around trying to figure out, okay, which one is the 4th best team. And then, oh, by the way, you got 2 teams out of the AFC East that are about this far away from potentially joining that group that I just mentioned in Miami and New England. And before anyone starts saying, well, what the hell did New England do last year? Let me remind everyone, 7 or 8 guys bounced out of the 2020 campaign because of COVID. I think everyone that sat back and said, this was proven without a shadow of a doubt, Brady over Belichick. Timeout. 7 or 8 of those Patriots players, most of them starters, decided not to play because of COVID. This is going to be a little different of a Patriots team this year. Are they better than Buffalo? No, but they're going to make life interesting. Are the Dolphins better than Buffalo right now? No, but they could make life pretty interesting. Like I said, those two teams are not that far away from the quintet of teams that I just talked about. Indianapolis, Tennessee, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers. Now, do a little arithmetic here. There are 7 teams that go to the playoffs now. Top seed gets home field throughout the playoffs, and they get a bye into the divisional round. 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. Assuming that I'm correct on this. Kansas City is 1, Buffalo's 2, Baltimore is 3. I think that that's a pretty logical thing. Kansas City 1, Buffalo 2, Baltimore 3. Then go to the 5 teams that I just mentioned. Indianapolis, in no particular order, by the way. Indianapolis, Tennessee, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the Chargers. That's 8 teams. And we didn't even include Miami and New England. That would be 10 teams in a 16-team conference. 7 teams are going to the playoffs. Assuming that the 3 that I just mentioned, the top 3, are near locks to get to the playoffs, barring injuries, you have 7 teams battling for 4 spots. That means 3 teams are going to be on the outside looking in. They won't be in the playoffs. The AFC is absolutely loaded this year. And for those that think, well, this is a no-brainer, Browns are this can't be a no-brainer. Browns are going to go into the playoffs. I mean, it's look at this team; they're absolutely loaded. This, that, and the other thing. Hang on a second. Take a look at Cleveland's schedule in 2021. You're opening up with Kansas City. Home game against Houston should be a win. Home game against Chicago should be a win. On the road at Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be sneaky good this year. Don't know. Circle the 5th game. Circle the 5th game. Browns are in Los Angeles taking on the Chargers. That game is going to be ridiculously huge because they're one of the 5 teams that I mentioned that are trying to get the final 4 spots, or 7 teams trying to get the final 4 spots. Chargers are one of those teams. That's a big game. And they only play them once. So the head-to-head is going to be huge come playoff time. That's a huge game. Might be the biggest non-divisional game the Cleveland Browns play all year, including opening day against Kansas City, which, by the way, based on Cleveland's past history, 1 win, 19 losses, 1 tie, you pretty much know where I'm going on with this one. Cleveland's not winning in Kansas City in week 1. The record speaks for itself. 1 win, 19 losses, 1 tie. That Arizona game, 6th game of the year, circle it. Because this game, the Chargers game in week 5, this game against the Los Angeles Chargers in LA in week number 5, that is going to be the biggest game of the year, non-division-wise, for the Cleveland Browns. Non-division wise, it's going to be the biggest game of the year. Home to Arizona, that's not going to be a gimme. Arizona is going to be absolutely ready to try to win the NFC West. That's not a gimme. Denver at home. Well, it depends. Lots of rumors flying around. Aaron Rodgers' next destination might be the Denver Broncos. If that's the case, that game at the stadium on a Thursday night, that got a whole lot better. If the Broncos don't have Aaron Rodgers, should be a win. If the Broncos do have Aaron Rodgers, that game just got a whole lot better. And you can also put Denver, by the way, into the conversation with the other 7 teams. And like the Chargers, if Rodgers were to be traded to Denver, like the Chargers, this game would be extremely, extremely important. All of the conference games are going to be extremely important because when you get to tiebreakers, you got to have a great conference record. But if Rodgers isn't a member of the Denver Broncos, that should be a victory for the Browns. Pittsburgh in Cleveland on Halloween. Say no more. At Cincinnati. Here's another game that's going to be extremely important. At New England. And again, a lot of folks, I mean, you could sit back and say, oh, come on, Ron. I mean, look what New England did last year. And again, let me remind everyone, the New England Patriots were without 8 starters. They did not play because of COVID. New England is going to be a much better team this year. I don't think they're going to be in the same class as Cleveland. They're going to be probably a step behind. But this is still a pretty big game because, again, got to have a good conference record. Got to have a nice record, good enough to finish in the top 7. But if there's ties involved, you got to have a really good conference record. And more importantly, you got to beat the contenders. And the contenders in the AFC, look, the Chiefs are a slam dunk. The Ravens are pretty much a slam dunk to get into the playoffs, barring injuries. Steelers, you play them twice. You got the Chargers in Los Angeles. You got the Patriots in Foxborough. You got the Raiders home. And then you have the Packers, the Steelers, and the Bengals. And, oh, by the way, after the Patriots, you got the Detroit Lions. It is not a slam dunk for this team to, what did they do last year, 11-5. It's not a slam dunk for this team to go 11-6. Matter of fact, I have this team going 10-7. Now, is 10-7 good enough to get into the postseason? Don't know. But I have them losing. And again, with all the injuries and just on paper, the injuries are obviously a factor. But right now, on paper, this is a 10-7 team. In my humble opinion, I don't see them beating the Chargers, and I don't see them beating the Patriots. And if you lose those 2 games at 10-7, you're probably not in the playoffs. You beat New England and finish 11-6, probably in the playoffs. 11-6 should probably get the Browns into the postseason. But that schedule it's no joke. And look, I mean, if now the Browns are playing both Denver and Green Bay. So let's say that Rodgers stays in Green Bay. That game against Green Bay is going to be pretty tough. And oh, by the way, that game, I believe it's in Lambeau. Let me check again. Yeah, it's at Lambeau. That's going to be a tough game. But if Rodgers isn't there and he's traded, like we said, pretty good chance that he goes to Denver. And then all of a sudden, that Thursday night game in week number 7 against the Broncos, that just got a whole lot better. So, again, if the Packers trade Rodgers to Denver, all right, the Green Bay game doesn't get that much. It gets a whole lot easier to win. But then the Denver game becomes a little bit more difficult. Either way, Cleveland is going to have a tough game, whether it's home to Denver should the Packers trade Rodgers to Denver, or in Green Bay if Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers kiss and make up. But that schedule is... I understand and I get the passion for the Browns fans because, look, I mean, they went 11-5, and they've made some really good changes on paper. The defense on paper looks to be a whole lot better. Look, I think that the second-round draft pick that's from Notre Dame, that hybrid linebacker, I think he's going to be absolutely phenomenal for the Browns. And I think that the Browns are going to be competitive. I am still not convinced that team defensively, specifically in the back 7, I am still not convinced that team is a championship caliber team. I'm not convinced of it. I'd like to see what this team is about when the season starts. I'll be very interested to see what happens there. But I am not sold that this team is all of a sudden you're going to make the jump and this defense is magically going to be the reincarnation of the 1985 Chicago Bears or the Steel Curtain of the 1970s. Listen, the back 7, even though there were a lot of great acquisitions, I'm not convinced that back 7 is championship caliber yet. I think that the Browns are going to have to score a lot of points early in the campaign. We'll see if the defense is as good as everyone thinks, then yeah, I think that there is a very good chance the Browns get themselves a playoff berth. But I am not convinced the back 7 is championship worthy. I'm not even convinced the back 7 is average. Even though they made some good acquisitions, I got to see it. And I think that, my story is real simple. I root for the Browns except for when they play Buffalo. When I was on terrestrial radio, I reminded everyone in the 2019 campaign? I think it was 2019, where the schedule was absolutely loaded. I mean, it was just absolutely loaded. First 7 weeks of the season. And I sat back and said, look, if the Browns can get past the first 7 games of the season, I think it was 2018. It wasn't 2019. It was 2018. If the Browns can get past the first half of that season, 3-5, 4-4, okay, you might have a shot here because the second half of the campaign, it looks a little bit better. And it was 2018 because Buffalo was, I think they were the first game in the second half of the season up in Cleveland, and the Browns won that game. Browns were a mess. I think they were, 2-6 after the first 8 games? They were a mess. Now, they beat Buffalo, but they wound up being, 6-10, somewhere in that vicinity. And they were a mess. And I had said if they can get past the first 7 or 8 games of the season, but they couldn't. Everyone outside or everyone within the fan base and even the media people said, "Oh, this team, they're going to be unbelievable," and they got smoked. And it started on opening day against Tennessee in Cleveland. That game was just absolutely horrendous, and it fell sideways from there on out. I got to believe, and I would hope that there are some Browns fans that are going to look back and say, hey, we went down this road 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not buying this team until you show me that you're worthy. And yeah, I understand 11-5, and the team played really, really well. You were also playing a third place schedule. You had a real easy schedule. The schedule isn't easy this year. This team may take a step back, but still be a pretty decent team. I'm not convinced this is the elite team in the AFC. I'm not convinced of it. You're gonna have to play a whole lot better than to convince me that they're an elite team. Not to say that Pittsburgh has smooth sailing. They don't. If anyone has seen this schedule, Steelers better win a lot of games early on, because this schedule, oh my God, does this schedule get tough. The final 4 or 5 games of the year, that schedule is brutal. Absolutely brutal. First of all, they begin the season up in Orchard Park. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I think Buffalo wins, but we'll see. Raiders come to Pittsburgh in week 2. Bengals come to Pittsburgh in week 3. Pittsburgh goes to Green Bay in week 4. Now, again, if Aaron Rodgers isn't a member of the Green Bay Packers, Steelers should be able to win. But Aaron Rodgers, day 1 of a 3-day mandatory practice, and he's a no-show, and he's getting fined $90,000+. I kind of think that he's going to probably get traded. I don't think he's going to be a Packer. And if that's the case, Jordan Love, okay, the Packers just went from here to mediocrity. And you can give the Steelers their 3rd win of the year. All of a sudden, they start out 3-1. Now, ironically enough, the next week, Denver's coming to Pittsburgh. Well, let's say that Aaron Rodgers gets traded to Denver. Now, all of a sudden, Denver and Pittsburgh, that's a pretty important game, because both teams are going to be vying for a wild card spot. Nobody's catching Kansas City in the West. Maybe LA, but probably not. That Denver game gets to be a huge game if Aaron Rodgers winds up there. And then Seattle comes to Pittsburgh. So you got a pretty decent stretch there. Seattle's going to be a pretty strong team. So first 6 games of the year, lose to Buffalo, beat the Raiders, beat the Bengals. I'm going to say you split with Green Bay and Denver. So 3-2. Seattle comes to Pittsburgh. Probably not. 3-3. Pittsburgh goes to Cleveland. It's a toss-up. Chicago comes to Pittsburgh. Detroit comes to Pittsburgh. Steelers go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Again, like Cleveland. That game is going to tell a whole lot. Steelers in Cincinnati. Ravens in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh goes to Minnesota. Again, a sneaky good Minnesota team. Then things get interesting. Here's your final 4 games of the season. Tennessee, now with Julio Jones, comes into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh goes to Kansas City. Cleveland comes to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh goes to Baltimore. Look, the Steelers had better have, 13 games into the year. Steelers better have about 9 wins, 9 or 10 wins in the first 13 games. You better have 9 or 10 wins in the first 13 games, because these last 4 games, even though the game's in Pittsburgh, Tennessee, oh man, that's going to be a tough game. And then you got to go to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs. Browns come to Pittsburgh. Circle that game. That especially if both teams are vying for a wild card spot or the AFC North. And then the last game of the year, you got Pittsburgh in Baltimore. Look, I'll repeat what I said from the start of this. If you throw out the 3 teams that are damn near close to a lock, again, barring injuries, the 3 teams that are damn near close to a lock in Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore, you have 5 teams that are pretty much on the same level, and then 2 teams maybe a tier below. And the 5 teams on the same level right now, the Chargers, the Browns, the Steelers, the Colts, the Titans. And oh, by the way, one of those teams, Colts, Titans, are going to win the division, and then the other one is going to be hoping and praying to get a wild card spot. And then you have the other two teams in the AFC East in Miami and New England. And again, if Denver gets Aaron Rodgers, you throw Denver into that mix as well. You can also don't discount the Raiders if they can get some stuff happening. AFC's loaded this year. At the end of the day, I don't think this is a slam dunk for either of our regional teams to get into the postseason this year. I just don't. I think that you're going to have to play some really good football just to get into the top 7 in the AFC this year. I think the AFC is absolutely floor to ceiling stacked, and it is going to be ridiculous just to see how many teams can get themselves a postseason berth, because there's going to be some teams that are not going to get into the playoffs. Like I said, there's the 5 teams that I mentioned, 3 slam dunks or close to slam dunks, and then you've got 7 teams battling for 4 spots, and one of those spots is guaranteed between Indianapolis and Tennessee. So essentially, 6 battling for 3 spots. 3 teams are going to get left out in the cold. And I know there are a lot of people in Cleveland that think that they're a Super Bowl caliber team. You may not even make the AFC playoffs this year. I'm not saying that that's a definite. I think that there's a reasonably good chance the Browns make the playoffs, but it's a loaded conference, and there are games within the Browns' schedule that are as close to a must-win as you're going to get, and the first of which is Week 5 against the Chargers. That game, if the Browns don't win that game, you lose a head-to-head matchup with the Chargers. So put it in proper perspective, if these two teams are tied at the end of the year, Chargers and the Browns, and they're up for the last spot in the playoffs, they go to head-to-head. That's how huge Week 5 is going to be. So that's it wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me at all if they didn't make the playoffs. I'm not saying they won't. I think there's a good chance they will, but it would not surprise me if they didn't make the playoffs. All right, before we go to break, we get some hardware to pass out, courtesy of 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Softball All-State teams were announced. D1, congratulations to Lydia Spalding from Austintown Fitch. She is on the 2nd team All-Ohio in softball. D2, a couple of representatives on the 1st and 2nd team. Congratulations to Cameron Latanzio from Poland. She makes the 1st team All-State in girls softball, and congratulations to Jordan Anderson from West Branch. She is on the 2nd team All-State, Division 2. Division 3, 1st team All-State. This is a shock. Gee. In other news, the sun rose from the east today. Bree Kohler from South Range, 1st team All-State. Congratulations. Just an amazing, amazing softball player. And staying home, she will go to Youngstown State University. Bree Kohler, 1st team All-State. 2nd team, Division 3 All-State, Alyssa Sheely from Ursuline. Congratulations to Alyssa Sheely, 2nd team All-State D3 softball. Also, the champion teammates, Emma Gumont and Cassidy Schaefer. They are both 2nd team All-State in girls softball in Division 3, and that is coming out of champion. All right, also, Division 3, honorable mention, Kelly Zolek from South Range, Emily Holland from South Range. Division 3 honorable mention. So congratulations to those two ladies. Division 4 1st team, Bella Spano from Matthews. Becca Landis from Matthews. Second team All-State, Ashley Deans from Matthews, and Billy Miller from Bristol. So congratulations to those two athletes as well. I'm a little surprised. Actually, I'm not a little. I'm a lot surprised. Where is the pitcher from McDonald in this? Are you kidding me? How is she not on first team All-State? My God, she had how many no-hitters and a couple of perfect games? How in the world is she not on the anywhere to be found in Division IV? That's crazy. I'm gonna have I got to take a look at the list, because that I find it hard to believe that they would Division IV would be without the starting pitcher from McDonald. We're gonna have to do some research on that. All right, give me a timeout. We're back in a bit on this Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. We're back in a bit on this very warm Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and tell us how we can go the extra mile for you.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. I am stunned that Bree Callow is not on the All-State in softball. And I'm looking for the name, and it's not there. Can't find it. I'm stunned by this. I mean, wow, that is a big time faux pas by the coaches. Holy smokes! That one's a head scratcher, big time head scratcher. Per Dana Balish, Westminster Athletic Director Jim Daffler is announcing his retirement as of July 31st. So we wish the AD at Westminster College all the best as he goes into his retirement. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. With you till 3 o'clock, at which time DJ and the boys will be coming in, doing the power hour on this Tuesday, very warm Tuesday in the Mahoning Valley. Very humid Tuesday as well. Making the rounds in terms of some reports, multiple reports saying that the college football playoffs are starting to turn toward a 12-team model. I don't understand why you would want 12 teams in the playoffs in Division I. Look, this is going to be unpopular, but it's the truth. Year in, year out. Now, there's an exception, maybe once a decade, but year in, year out, there are only 4 teams that are worthy of going to a playoff, 6 at the absolute most, that are worthy of going to a playoff and competing for a Division I Big Boy championship. And Big Boy is Division I FBS. FCS, the younger brother, that's where YSU is. They have, when all things are normal, a 24-team tournament, which, it probably should be 16. But, they want to make money. They want to make extra money. And let's be honest, if you're going to go to 12 teams, it's all about the Benjamins. But what I'm saying is, historically, every 9 out of 10 years, you only have 4 teams that are worthy of a postseason berth. Now, one of the ideas that I thought Brian Driscoll was pretty heads-on with this, you throw out the conference championship games. You play your 12 regular season games. You throw out the conference championship games. You put teams in bowls. Whether it's the Big Ten, how are we going to determine who goes to the Rose Bowl? All right, well, you're going to have to determine it somehow, some way. But you get someone out of the Big Ten and the Pac-12 to go to the Rose Bowl, and you play the bowl games with no conference championships. You play the bowl games, and then committee meets January the 2nd. Committee meets, and we knock it down to 4. You play the semifinals on the Saturday after New Year's Day. You play the semifinals, and you play the national championship game. Yes, you're probably going to be moving the season up a week, but then again, it's going to be for 2 teams. It's just going to be for 2 teams. But you own the month of January on a Saturday. You own the month of January on Saturday, pretty much. I think it would be phenomenal. Again, you use the bowl games as the conference championship game, week 13. And then from those bowl games, now the committee gets together and says, okay, who are the top 4 teams? And now let's go 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and let's do it like that. But year in, year out, you won't find more than 6 teams that are worthy of a national championship. The 12-game season is going to determine which teams are good enough to do it. I mean, very rarely will you see a undefeated team or multiple undefeated teams. It's, you're maybe one undefeated team, but last year was different. You had 3 unbeaten teams, and it made life easy because obviously you had to put those 3 unbeaten teams in there, and then you got one more team, and then that's it. But the 12 teams, I mean, that's just a money grab at that point. That's all that is. Because the reality is, 9 times out of 10, for every decade, 9 years of the 10 years that encompass a decade, only 4 teams are good enough to be a championship, a tournament championship caliber team. There's no reason to go to 8 teams. None. Let alone 12. There's no reason. Now, I know people are going to sit back and go, wow, what about the conference champions? They're not promised anything. This isn't about getting conference championship teams to say, oh, well, we're going to get our trip to the dance because our conference is an automatic berth into the. No, that's not how this works. The 4 best teams get into the playoffs. If they go to 8. It's the 8 best teams. But like I said, there's 9 times out of 10, there's only 4 teams that are worthy to go to the playoffs anyway. And every once in a while, you'll get 5 or 6 teams that have a legitimate case. I've yet to see a year in which more than 6 teams had a legitimate case that they belong in the playoffs. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Everyone's resume is going to have some holes in it, based on the other teams. It just the people that are sitting back saying, well, there's a 12-team model that works. Get out of here with that crap. If the 12-team model works, I'm guaranteeing you it's all about the Benjamins and not about the football. And maybe at this point that's what they're looking to do. Look, and I still think that the Power 5 and Notre Dame are about this close to telling the NCAA, hey, we're not around here anymore. Good luck with March Madness and good luck with the football, because we're disassociating us. We're just going to disassociate ourselves from you guys, and we're gonna go about our own thing. And it is about this close from happening, where the Pac-12, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Big 10 are going to go, see you later. And Notre Dame, bye-bye. We're out of here. You guys figure it out. We're going to do our own thing. And then utter chaos with the NCAA. Look, I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this for years. If you want to radically change the NCAA in terms of Division I, FBS and FCS for football, okay. Turn the mid-majors, the MACs, there's some of the other conferences that are mid-majors. Sun Belt. Turn those conferences into FCS schools. Turn those conferences into FCS schools. And make FBS smaller. And then sit back and go, okay, now the FCS teams are going to battle for a championship. The FBS teams, they're going to have their own thing. But we've lowered the bowl of FBS teams, sent some of them along their way to be FCS. Now, it would make things a lot harder for Youngstown State. But again, you would also open up the opportunity of, hey, now we can play Akron and Kent State and Bowling Green and those schools that are in the Mid-American Conference because, well, they'd be one of us. They would be on the same level as the Penguins. And I think that would make things pretty entertaining. It would surely make the recruiting pretty entertaining as well. But is that going to happen? Probably not. Is it going to happen where the FCS says, you know what, let's just everyone go up to Division I and take your best shot and go from there? No, it can't happen. It can't happen. That's out of the realm of possibility. I think the better chance is that the mid-majors or some of the mid-majors decide, hey, you know what, we're going to go down to the FCS level and play for a national championship there because, frankly, they have no chance at winning a national championship or even getting into the playoffs on the FBS side because the playoffs are going to be all about the Power 5 conferences. You're simply not going to see a non-Power 5 conference team go into the playoffs. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. Even if you go undefeated, people are going to look at the schedule and they're going to be like, okay, well, who did you play? All right, what non-conference schedule did you play? I mean, unless people sat back and loaded their non-conference schedule with Power 5 conference programs and beat those Power 5 programs and then went through your mid-major type of schedule, then you might have a shot at getting a playoff berth. It's probably something that you can do. Probably something that you can do. But how many teams load up their non-conference schedule with Power 5 opponents? How many mid-majors do that? Here's a spoiler alert. None. You'll play one, maybe two, but if you got three non-conference teams, you got to get a win in there somewhere, or at least an easy game in there somewhere. It's the Power 5 is where the playoffs are going to be. Now, the NCAA basketball tournaments, this is a little bit easier because you've got a field of 64 or 68 if you count the play-in games, which everyone does. And you've got conferences that are guaranteed a team in the tournament. But you can do that because you have a really, really large field. You're not going to get a large field in football and still have the bowl system. You can't. Either the bowl system leaves and you have 12 or whatever amount of teams you want to put in there, and the bowl system goes away, or you keep it as is and only 4 teams get in. And, oh, by the way, the 4 teams are going to be all Power 5 conference teams because they're the best of the best. And it sucks if you're, a school like Kent State or Akron or OU or Bowling Green, somewhere in the Mid-American Conference. It sucks to be in the MAC from the perspective of you're not getting into the postseason. The only way you get into the postseason is if you were to load up your schedule, your non-conference schedule, with Power 5 conference teams, and then blow through your conference. I'll give you an example with Kent State. Kent State has their schedule out. They're going to be playing 4 non-conference games, okay? Their conference games, by the way, start on October the 2nd. Bowling Green comes to Kent State. Then Buffalo comes to Kent State. Western Illinois is in there. Ohio, Northern Illinois, Central Michigan, Akron, and Miami of Ohio. Those are the conference games. You've got 4 non-conference games. September the 4th, Kent State goes to College Station to take on Texas A&M. Okay. September the 11th, Virginia Military Institute comes to Kent to take on the Golden Flashes. September the 18th, Kent State goes to Iowa to play the Hawkeyes. And September 25th, Kent State goes to Maryland to play the Terrapins. So you have 3 of the 4 games against Power 5 conferences. And by and large, A&M is supposed to be a pretty decent team this year. They play in the Southeastern Conference, Western Division. They're supposed to be pretty decent this year. Iowa is in the Big Ten West. They're supposed to be okay. Maryland in the Big Ten East, well, you still got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State to deal with, and you're probably looking at a 4th or 5th place team. And I would venture to say that even if Kent State were to knock off A&M, VMI, Iowa, and Maryland and blow through their conference and finish the season 12-0, I don't think Kent State gets into the playoffs. Just don't think it would happen. I think there'd be I think that there would be a lot of people clamoring for it, but I don't think it would happen. And then you look at Akron's schedule. Let me put this one up here real quick. Akron begins the year on September the 4th. They're going to go to Auburn to take on the Auburn Tigers. September 11th, Temple is in Akron. September the 18th, Bryant is at Akron. And then on September the 25th, Akron is at Ohio State. All right, so you got a pretty good SEC team, 2 mid-majors, and an elite Big Ten team. And then you have your conference schedule: Ohio, Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Buffalo, Ball State, Western Michigan, Kent State, and Toledo. Go 12-0? Well, you beat Auburn, you beat Ohio State. Yeah, maybe. But the chances of that happening, slim and none. Mid-majors, you'd have to go undefeated, but you'd also have to have a really, really good non-conference schedule with Power 5 teams. Now, kudos to the Mid-American Conference for getting some Power 5 teams on their schedule. I mean, look, Kent State has 3 of their 4 games as Power 5 opponents. Akron has 2. But even then, I don't know. I don't know if they would be top 4. I don't know. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. Hit me up. We got an open line Tuesday on this Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. We're back in a bit.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Ruud gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Ruud, and so should you.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
"60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love."
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Indians in action tonight. They're in St. Louis taking on the Cardinals. Shane Bieber on the bump tonight for the Indians. That's an 8:15 start. Meanwhile, the Pirates, they are at home taking on the Dodgers. It'll be Brubaker on the hill for the Bucks. That's a 7:05 start against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers are 3 games in back of San Francisco. They're on a 2-game losing streak, 34-25 on the campaign. The Pirates, 23-35. They're 9.5 games behind Chicago in the NL Central. We made mention the Indians taking on the Cardinals. The Indians are currently 4 in back of Chicago, 3 in the loss column. The White Sox leading the division. By the way, the White Sox, they are, where are they? They're playing Toronto in the south side of Chicago. That is tonight. The White Sox and the Blue Jays. The Indians taking on the Cardinals. Again, the Indians 4 games out of first place, 1 game out of the second wild card. St. Louis is 2.5 games behind the Cubs and Milwaukee in the Central Division in the National League, 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. Cardinals on a 5-game losing streak. They have dropped 7 of their last 10 games. Big news coming out of baseball, and we made mention of this when we were doing the Scrappers games over the weekend. Buster Olney reporting that there is a groundswell from Major League Baseball to really go after the pitchers that are doctoring the baseball. And Buster only a couple of days ago said this, just filed ESPN under the plan being swiftly advanced through MLB. Umpires will be repeatedly and randomly checking pitchers for foreign substances in a push that could begin within 2 weeks. Estimates are there could be 8 to 10 checks per game as pitchers depart games. Look, I've been saying this for over a year that Major League Baseball had, about a year or so ago, the problems were starting to come about. You were starting to get a whiff of information that pitchers were doctoring the baseball, and they were doing it a lot more often than previously. You know, if you go back into the 60s and 70s and into the 80s, you had some guys that were known to put some foreign substance on their fingers and make the ball dance a little bit. I think Gaylord Perry was pretty much a common denominator in all of that. Where he went to the Hall of Fame with a spitball or a grease ball, where he would have Vaseline somewhere. I'll be curious to see what transpires here. You know, and you know, I'm not a spin rate guy. One of the reasons why I'm not too thrilled about any of that stuff is nobody has given me a base to which to work with. What's the average spin rate on a fastball, a curveball, slider? Give me an average number, and then we can start from there. I've yet to hear anyone give me an average RPM number, spin rates, revolutions per minute. I've yet to hear anyone give me that number. So I can't get excited when somebody throws out an arbitrary number like 3,250 RPMs on this pitch. What does that mean? You know, compared to what? What's the average? It's It's one of the reasons why I don't get geeked up about that. It's look, I mean, for me, it's movement. And if you have a lot of movement on a pitch, then you've got a better than average chance that you're going to be able to strike a lot of guys out or have guys beat the ball into the ground, and you're going to be the beneficiary of it. Well, there's a lot of guys that are now doctoring up the baseball, and it's abundantly apparent that it's going on. Major League Baseball, the one thing that I've always said about Major League Baseball, for better or for worse, and most of the time it's for worse, it is an institution that is very receptive or very, very non-receptive to change. Major League Baseball's changing goes at a glacier pace. You won't see changes very often because the game itself you don't need to change it. The game itself within the rules of baseball, and where I have a huge problem with the commissioner of Major League Baseball is he's either A, ignorant to the rules, or B, ignorant to what baseball people want. You don't have to change the rules of baseball. Baseball, as is, without these stupid rule changes, pretty damn good sport. It just is. Now, I'll be the first to admit, baseball can be boring, especially when pitchers aren't doing their job, a.k.a. throw strikes, get outs. It can be pretty laborious watching 9, 10, 11, 12 walks a game. That could be tough to watch. Okay, I get that. But when the game is played the way it's supposed to be played, pitchers throwing strikes, everyone doing their thing, you get on the field, you get off the field, excitement with every at-bats, small ball, large ball, hit and run, stolen bases, yada, yada, yada. Listen, the game itself, ain't nothing wrong with the game. Game's in fine shape. But when people are starting to cheat, which has been going on for a long time, I understand that. Cheating is part of sports. Everyone wants to put their toes to the line or get their toes ever so slightly over the line and try to get an edge. As far as I'm concerned, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I'll continue to pound the pavement or pound the desk on this. The cheaters in this game right now, this is the pitcher's version of the steroid era. Except this is not the steroid era now. This is the doctored pitching era. And Major League Baseball needs to treat the cheaters on the mound every bit the way they treated the steroid guys. Now, it took a while. Again, Major League Baseball, the glacier pace, where they're slow to change because, they, for whatever reason, they just don't embrace change all that much. Well, look, in 1998, when we were, it was 1998, when we were sitting back and oohing and awing about Sosa and McGuire both going absolutely bananas. Everyone and their brother knew what was going on. Yeah, of course you knew what was going on. The ball wasn't juiced. The players were. Okay. Well, the players were juiced. Major League Baseball didn't do anything about it until, a decade later. Well, it's the same thing with pitching. Now, at least Major League Baseball is now coming to the conclusion that, okay, well, we really need to buckle down on this because, well, the fans aren't showing up because, well, offense brings people to the seats. I mean, the adage in all sports, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. At the end of the day, you have to throw the cheaters out of this game, or at least throw the hammer down on these guys the same way you threw the hammer down on the steroid guys. And what I've been saying is real simple. Treat them just like you treated the steroid folks. First offense, you're out for 80 games. Now, for a pitcher, if you're a starter, well, you just lost 16 starts. The average, if it's a 5-man rotation, you're going to go 31, 32 starts a year. I think 32. Some of them are going to get 33. The ace will get 33, and the number 2 starter gets 33 starts, assuming everyone is healthy. So if you get bounced for 80 games, yeah, you just lost 16 starts. You're going to think twice now. Now you're going to think twice about putting glue on your fingers or putting the substance of water and pine tar, which equals a sticky substance. Now you're going to have second thoughts, because that's the first offense. The second offense is you're gone for a year. So even if you do it, say, middle of the season, game number 75. Game number 75, here's this guy. He gets caught for a second time. He's done. When can he come back? Game number 75 of the following year. He's out for the rest of this year and up to game 75 of the following year. He is out for 162 games. You're done. You miss a whole year, 32 starts. Or if you're a relief pitcher, you're missing a half a year with the first offense. You're missing a whole year with the second offense. And if you get caught a third time, see ya. You're out. You're done. You're never coming back to Major League Baseball. You're kicked out of the league for good. You do that, the cheating is going to go substantially less. It just is. Look, there's always going to be some knuckleheads that are going to think that they can cheat the system and go out and not get caught. There's always going to be those knuckleheads. But by and large, when the steroid penalties came down, the first offense, you're out for 80 games. The second offense, you're out for 162. The third offense, you're out of baseball for good. How many of those steroid guys are left? I'd venture to say I can probably count on 2 hands. I'd venture to say it's gotten to that point because you're now serious about this. You're now saying, hey, look, we're not going to put up with this. You're out for a half a year the first time you do it. You're out for the full year the second time you do it. You're out for good the third time you do it. And you got to do it. If you're Major League Baseball, you have to do this. You have to do this because, number one, the game is, well, first of all, the game sucks. From the standpoint of the fundamental skills of the everyday players is horrible right now. The fact that they can't hit the ball the opposite way to solve a shift is embarrassing. Very embarrassing. But the other alternative is you can't bunt a ball up the third base line and go to first base. That's going to kill the shift. You keep doing that, sooner or later, the shift is gone. You're just not going to do that. But everyone thinks, well, I'm going to muscle my way through the shift. Okay, well, good luck with that. It hasn't worked out very well. So between that and pitchers doctoring the baseball, the offense has been nothing short of a disaster. The last check, this is the lowest cumulative team batting average in about 90 years. And, okay, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, I'll tell you right now, when everyone decides to open up their ballparks, offense sells tickets. And if you don't have offense, you're not going to sell a lot of tickets. Offense puts butts in the seats. Defense wins championships, but offense sells tickets. If you don't have a team that's really putting up a lot of numbers, folks are going to sit back and go, yeah, I'm not interested. Not interested in the product. And look, the Indians, they haven't exactly hit the ball very well. Now, they're 4 games out of first place, and they're 31-26 and within striking distance of the White Sox. And, do I think the White Sox collapse? I don't know. I'm not a fan of their manager, and he might bring them down, but that's a loaded team over there. Do I think the Indians have a chance to catch them? Well, I think a lot of good things would have to happen. First and foremost, you got to get Franmil Reyes healthy again. You got to hope and pray that Bobby Bradley, who has started out like a house of fire, continues to hit the ball and not strike out every 2 or 3 at bats, and get Reyes and Bradley together in the same lineup and get those 2 guys hot at the same time, along with Ramirez. And you're looking at a 3-4-5 lineup that can go over the course of a year. You're probably looking at about 100 home runs between the 3 of them and about 300 RBI between the 3 of them, if they're all on their A game. Bobby Bradley could be there. Is he going to be? I don't know. He's got to win me over, because the first time he was up, he was overmatched and he looked awful. He just looked awful. Now it's a very, very small sample size. I think he's only played in like 2 games in Baltimore. But what is he? 4 hits, and all 4 of the hits have been extra base hits. It's a good start. It's a good start for Bradley. I don't know if he can keep that pace up, but certainly a good start for him. But look, I mean, the Indians, they don't have a great deal of offense right now. They're not as bad as what people are saying. I shook my head when I read these people sitting back going, this series in Baltimore just proved the Indians, they're not really that good of a team. Okay, let's not forget the fact that this is now the second year that Cleveland's gone into Baltimore and actually been horrible. 2019, Cleveland went into Baltimore and gave up double-digit runs in 2 of those 3 games. That 2019 team won a fair amount of games. That 2019 team went into Baltimore and gave up double-digit runs the first 2 games of that 3-game series. Look, Baltimore has been, the last couple of years, it's been a tough place to play. It just has been. I don't buy into the fact that, this team is mediocre at best. No, they're not. Now, don't get me wrong. There's problems with this team. Absolutely there is. There's a shortage of starting pitching right now. Again, I think Tristan McKenzie will get called up at some point. He's starting to figure it out. It's Plesac is going to be healthy soon. You've got Bieber that's been pitching well. Savali has been pitching well. You just got to get the back part of the rotation figured out, and then you got to get healthy. You're without Plesac, and your 4 and 5 starters are, and offensively you're without Perez, who makes the pitching staff a whole lot better. Let's not forget about that. Roberto Perez does make this pitching staff just a tiny bit better because he's, the best defensive catcher in all of baseball. And the fact that he calls a game better than anyone not named Yadier Molina, I think that might have a little tiny bit to do with that. And then, by the way, you got a guy that is good for 30 home runs a year that's hurt, and he's going to be out for another month. Yeah, this team they're going to struggle for a little bit. But don't give me this crap that this is a bad team. That's people that say that are morons. You're a moron. This isn't a bad team. This is a team that's going to be there at the end. This is a team that will be vying for a playoff spot at the end of this season. If not, vying for a Central Division crown, because I'm a firm believer at some point in time, Tony La Russa is going to lose his marbles, not literally, but he's going to lose his baseball marbles, and this team is going to suffer because of it. The Central, it's not an open and shut case. Although talent wise, oh God, the White Sox are good. They're loaded talent wise. I don't trust their manager, and their manager is a huge part of the equation. And when Cleveland gets healthy, this is a team that'll win 85 to 90 games. They just will. And at the end of the day, they'll be heard from. God, when people sat back over the weekend, see, the Cleveland team's bad. Look at what they did against Baltimore. Look what they did against Baltimore 2 years ago. Were you telling me that the Indians of 2019 were bad when they gave up double-digit runs the first 2 games of the series against Baltimore? And how'd that 2019 team work out? Okay, they didn't get into the playoffs, but they surely won a lot of games. Stop with the stupidity. I can't stand when people just say things based upon a weekend. Stop with that nonsense. Anyway, back to the whole. The umpires are now going to be repeatedly and randomly checking pitchers within 2 weeks. Warning shot is fired. And, oh, by the way, I don't know if anyone saw it or not. Garrett Cole's first start since this whole debacle got lit up like a Christmas tree. And apparently his, let me do this right, spin rate, I don't know what the hell that is. Because again, you don't give me an average, so I'm not going to get excited about a arbitrary number. But apparently his spin rate was way down, and because his spin rate was way down, the ball wasn't moving as much, and because the ball wasn't moving as much, it was in the strike zone, and because it was in the strike zone, well, you know the story. He gets lit up like a Christmas tree. Trevor Bauer, his first start since this little thing, he did okay, but his, again, spin rate, it was down, especially on his fastball. Okay. Listen, I know the guys that are doing the cheating. You know, you can call them out if you want to, but this isn't rocket science. When a guy begins the season in this region, and he's mediocre at best in this region, and then he turns around and goes to Houston and puts up ridiculous numbers because all of a sudden he finds a spin rate that can give him an extra 1,000, 1,200 RPMs on his pitches. There's something going on here. It's something a little funny about that. He's a cheater. No question in my mind he is. No question in my mind he's not the only one. There's a bunch of guys that are cheating. Hence the reason why the umpires are going to repeatedly and randomly check pitchers for foreign substances. Now, how is this going to affect the timing of the game? You better do it in between the innings. The other thing is, you know, how many... I would assume that foul balls that are not in the seats, the foul balls that get off of the screen or still in play, but it's behind home plate or near the dugout, those baseballs are going to have to be accounted for. I think if Major League Baseball really wants to go full bore on this, there has to be a person in the ballpark working for MLB that is going to be in charge of getting all of the baseballs that are fouled off the screen behind home plate. You know, the bat boy normally, if there's a foul ball off the screen or off of the padded side of home plate, you know, foul ball goes straight back. Bat boy comes out, grabs the ball, and he goes back into the dugout. Those balls have to be accounted for. And hear me out on this. If Major League Baseball really wants to crack down on this, you grab those baseballs, tag them, as if to say, okay, where was this ball hit? When was this foul ball hit? Fifth inning, top of the fifth inning, and you essentially go back to the box score from the next day. Okay, this guy was pitching. You got to somehow, some way tag the baseball to say, okay, this baseball was hit back to the screen, bottom of the third inning. Just leave it at that. And you go by the box score the next day, or you go to the official score and say, okay, who was pitching in the bottom of the third inning in Cleveland? Okay, this guy was pitching. And you start the investigation of those baseballs. You can independently do those investigations. You gather those baseballs up, all the baseballs that are hit back to the screen and fall behind home plate, or the baseballs that go into the dugout. Those baseballs immediately get grabbed by MLB. Grabbed, tagged. Okay, when was this ball hit? All right, this ball was hit top of the third inning. I put it in a bucket or put it in safekeeping. And after the game, you're inspecting all of these baseballs. You're inspecting these baseballs to figure out, okay, which of these baseballs, if any, are doctored? And who was on the mound when this baseball was fouled off? If Major League Baseball really wants to go at the cheaters, and again, I will preface this again. I believe that what is going on right now with Major League Baseball, with the doctoring of the baseballs by the pitchers, is every bit the steroid era. Every bit the illegality of the steroid era. Every bit of it. And should be treated as such. Where Major League Baseball slow to the punch, letting McGuire and Sosa and all these juicers put up ridiculous numbers and make a sham of the game. Okay. They had their thing. We learned a lesson. We weren't quick enough to close that door. We weren't quick enough to sit back and go, hey, guys, you're not going to do this. And I think Major League Baseball was slow for a reason. Again, let's go back to what sells tickets. Offense does. So if you have a bunch of guys that are hitting a baseball and offense is up through the roof, you're going to be pretty slow about it because, well, you're making money hand over fist, and who wants to stop the gravy train? There isn't a businessman that would sit back and say, "Hey, we got to put an end to this." This is kind of illegal. We got to put an end to this. But you're making so much money. Yeah, I know, but we got to put an end to this. At some point in time, Major League Baseball finally said, "Okay, money aside, we got to put an end to this." Major League Baseball is going to go. They're going to do this at a much quicker pace because your offense is being affected. And again, offense sells tickets. And if you don't have much offense, well, baseball becomes kind of, unless you get pitchers that are not walking anyone and it's an exciting as hell 2-1, 3-2 game, which, listen, I'm all about those kind of games. They're every bit as fun as a 6-5, 5-4, 7-6 type of game. The pitchers' duels are just as fun, but I am a guy that just is crazy for baseball. But I also know that if you're killing your offense because pitchers are doctoring up the ball, Major League Baseball is going to quickly go after these guys because they're going to be losing money hand over fist because nobody's going to want to go to the game. Nobody's going to want to go to the game. So there you go. So I think that's where Major League Baseball is now going to be going, okay, now we have our issue here. Now we got our little thing. So I think what Major League Baseball should do, and again, this is just my personal opinion, umpires are going to go after the pitchers, not just the starters, everybody. And they're going to randomly check pitchers for foreign substances. Okay, this could happen within 2 weeks. What I think Major League Baseball should also do, as I made mention, all the foul balls that find a home behind home plate, a ball that gets chopped into foul territory, takes a couple of bounces, lands over near the backstop. All of those baseballs could be tagged, grabbed by the bat boy, tagged by someone, whether it's, all right, put a number on this ball and make a master list, or put a tag on this ball saying, hey, this ball was hit top of the third. You can just put on the baseball T3 and just go from there, and then check the balls after each game. Not randomly, go after all of those balls, check all of those balls for any foreign substance. Because if there's foreign substance on the baseball, then you pretty much know who threw it and what time of the game they threw it. So you pretty much have the guy dead to rights. And then you can sit back and catch him in the act by giving him a few more checks. Or just say, hey, you need to come to the principal's office and you got to explain yourself. What is this? Why is there foreign substance on this ball? And fess up. And number 3, if you're Major League Baseball, you got to drop the hammer every bit as bad as you've now dropped the hammer on the steroid guys, because this should be illegal. So the first offense, much like the first offense for steroid users, 80 games. You're out. You're done for 80 games. Second offense, you're done for 162 games. Third offense, you're done, period. You're out of Major League Baseball. That's it. You're done. It's what you should do. That's what Major League Baseball should do. Love to hear your comments on it. Give me a call on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, 330-886-0813, 330-886-0813. With you till 3 o'clock on this Tuesday edition of Running Point. We'll take a time out. Be back in a bit. Stick around.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSWealthAdvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
by giving you confidence in your vehicle with the Greenwood Advantage warranty.
By guaranteeing you financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we do whatever it takes to go the extra mile. So, how can we go the extra mile for you?
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and tell us how we can go the extra mile for you.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Running Point on a very warm Tuesday afternoon. Hope everyone is doing well. With you till 3 o'clock, at which time we will have the Power Hour. DJ and the fellas will take you through the 3 o'clock hour with the Power Hour. That is all coming up at 3 o'clock. Made mention some hardware was announced today. All-State. Softball All-State was announced today. Division I, Lydia Spalding from Austintown Fitch is on the second team All-State. Congratulations to Lydia Spalding. Division II, Cameron Latanzio from Poland is on the first team. She makes first team All-State. D2, Cameron Latanzio from Poland. D2, second team All-State, Jordan Anderson from West Branch. So congratulations to those ladies. We go to Division III, Bree Kohler from South Range named first team All-State. Second team All-State, Alyssa Sheely from Ursuline, along with Emma Gumont and Cassidy Schaefer from Champion. So congratulations to all of those ladies getting those awards. Division III, honorable mention, Kelly Zolik from South Range, Emily Holland from Ursuline. Division IV, first team, Bella Spano and Becca Landis from Matthews. And second team All-State in Division IV, Ashley Deans from Matthews and Billy Miller from Bristol. I'm stunned that Bree Callow is not on the All-State team from McDonald. I'm absolutely stunned by this. And we've been trying to do some research on this in terms of trying to figure out what is going on with that. I'm frankly surprised, and not in a good way, that this had happened. I'm a little surprised that Bree Callow's not on All-State. First team, second team, or honorable mention. She had a hell of a resume this year. I'm a little surprised by that. So we've been trying to track that down and in hopes that maybe there was a misprint and that Bree is on the team, but we have not had any success in tracking her name down. Dana Balish tweeting out that the Football Coaches Association, the Ohio Football Coaches Association, is meeting with the OHSAA Board of Directors. This could be an interesting meeting. If you'll recall, the coaches had their own get-together with everyone during 2020, knowing full well that the OHSAA was seriously considering dumping out of the format of the top 8 teams in each region going into the playoffs. The Coaches Association got together and they came up with what a lot of people thought was a really good idea, and that's the 12-team format. They approved that last year overwhelmingly. The 12-team format essentially is top 12 teams from each region go into the playoffs, where the top 4 teams would have a bye, 5 would play 12, 6 would play 11, 7 would play 10, 8 would play 9. The first round games would be at the home of the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds. And then you would have the winner of 8 versus 9 would play the number 1 seed. The winner of 7 versus 10 would play the number 2 seed. The winner of 6 versus 11 would play the number 3 seed, and the winner of 5 versus 12 would play the 4 seed. And in the quarterfinals, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds would have home games, and then we would go from there. The coaches wanted that. Apparently, from what I'm reading from Dana's tweet, the coaches took about a half an hour to present why a 16-team field is not suitable, asked the board to pause 1 year, revert back to the 12-team format that they approved last year. And the reason being, the coaches want to see how that 12-team format works. The OHSAA board apparently told the coaches they wouldn't make any decisions today, but I'm quoting, they would get back to them. Doesn't sound like the OHSAA is very interested in changing their decision. They want to stay with the top 16, which, again, it's more money. It's simply put, it is more money, and more money means, hey, you've got an opportunity to put some more, put some bucks into the OHSAA account. I mean, it's like over the weekend. Over the weekend, the OHSAA had their track meets. The track meets, the state track meets, were held in 3 different locations. Now, in 2019, the last time we had spring sports, because everyone knows 2020 was a dormant year because of COVID. In 2019, there were 28,852 people that went into Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium on the campus of Ohio State University for the 2-day event. Now, this year, the 3 separate sites, 2 days at each site, the 3 separate sites hosted a combined 24,127 people. And that's based out of 2 days. Now, the OHSAA made $361,905 in ticket sales and actually made substantially more money as compared to 2 years ago. As a matter of fact, we could do some arithmetic here real quick. They came up with $73,000 and change more money this year as opposed to 2 years ago. And some would ask, well, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. You drew 4,700 more people in 2019 than you did in 2021. How the hell did you make more money? Well, the OHSAA raised the ticket prices from $10 to $15. And because they did the $15, they were able to get $361,905 in ticket sales. So the proceeds rose 25% despite attendance dropping about 16%. And oh, by the way, this also doesn't include a $5 parking fee that was imposed during the course of the year. So what does this mean? In 2022, do we go back to Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium? Got to be honest with you, probably not. When you consider the fact that the OHSAA, they're not going to be paying any rent for these 3 locations. They're not paying rent to Westerville North, the Hilliard Derby, or Pickerington North. They're not paying any rent. They had to pay rent to go to Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Now, you might go to Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium and go, okay, we're raising the tickets to $15, or keeping it at $15. You probably will get more people in attendance at $15 a crack. You'll probably get close to 400,000 next year in ticket sales. And you'll probably be able to say that you made money if you hold the event in one place at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Because I doubt very seriously if you're going to be renting that place for, $40,000. I doubt very seriously if that is getting rented out at $40,000 for the 2-day event. I would be stunned to hear that. But I thought it was interesting. The attendance was down 16% from 2019, but the proceeds rose 25% because the ticket prices went up $5 a head. I'll be curious to see, do they keep it at 15 or do they lower it a little bit? We'll see what happens. My guess is you're going to keep it at $15. Now, what does this mean for football? Well, real simple. 16 is a complete round of tournaments. If you go 12, you're talking about 16 playoff games per division because there's 4 regions in each division. 4 regions in each division, your 4 playoff games would be 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. That would be your 4 playoff games in your region. 4 regions, 16 playoff games in each division. Now, 16 playoff games, let's say that the cost to go to a playoff game is, $12. $12, let's say an average of 3,000 people decide to come to a game. And that's $36,000 times 16. That's $576,000 in ticket sales for each division. And that's based on 3,000 per game, which could very well be a conservative number. Again, that's 3,000 per game. All right. 3,000. You're going to have 4 per game in your well, let me backtrack on this. 3,000. Yeah, I think I did the math wrong on this. 3,000, and that's going to be 1 game or 4 games in each region. 4 times 4 is 16. That's an average. It's 48,000. Boy, did I screw that up. 48,000 for each division. Multiply that out by 7. $336,000 for the OHSAA divisions 1 through 7. That's for 12. Okay. But if you go 16, 1 plays 16, 2 plays 15, 3 plays 14, you get the drill. So now you're looking at 3,000 times 16. And that's only in one region. Now multiply that out by 4. That's $192,000 per division. And then multiply that out by 7. That's $1.3 million. And I think I did that right. 3,000 times 16. There would be 8 games. I beg your pardon. There would be 8 games, not 16. 8 games. So it's 3,000 times 8. All right. Times 4. Times 7. I did that wrong. It's $672,000. I multiplied it by 16 because it's not 16. It would be 8 games. 8 games, 16 teams, but it would be 8 games. So if you go an average of 3,000, this is conservative because 3,000 on average for every first round game, I would say that's a little conservative, but we'll use that number. 3,000. There's going to be 8 games in each eight games in each region. So we're multiplying 3,000 by 8. And then we're multiplying it by 4. And then we're multiplying it by 7. $672,000. And that's for the first round. That's for the first round of the playoff games based on 3,000, because you would have 8 games in your region. There are 4 regions. That's 32 per region. Multiply it by 7. That's 224 extra games that are going to be played under a 16-team format. 224. At $12 a piece, with 3,000 per game, it's over $600,000. And that's the first round. And then you go to the next round. So you understand why the OHSAA is saying, hey, guys, your idea of the 12, it's wonderful. It's great. But we can get more money based on 16. We can do far better based on 16. Look, if you do it based on 12, again, you're looking at 4 extra games. 4 times 4 is 16 per division. By 7, it's 112. But if you're going 8, you're at 224. You got twice as many games. You've got twice as much money coming in. About a month or so ago, when we sat back and had this conversation that the OHSAA was planning on going to 16 teams and essentially poo-pooing the idea of the Coaches Association and saying, look, I mean, we understand you did your due diligence, but we're going 16 games. We're not going to hear any of the 12-game bull crap. The reason why 12 games doesn't make any sense, or 12 teams in each region doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm not talking about sense spelled S-E-N-S-E. 12 games doesn't make any sense, C-E-N-T-S. 16 games and a whole extra round of playoffs, because you got to understand, if you got 8 teams in each region, okay, you were playing how many games? 8 to get to 4, so you had 4 games there. 4 to get to 2 games. 2 to get to 1. So you had 7 games per region. Multiply that by 4, 28 games per division. Multiply that out by 7, you got 196. So when we went to 8 teams, you're looking at 196 games. Now, 196 times, let's say, $12. We're going to multiply that out by 3,000, and yeah. 196 games. Okay, now let's go to the new format, assuming that you decide not to go with the coaches. You've added an extra round of playoffs where you're going to have 8 more games per region. Multiply that by 4, 32. Multiply that by 7 because there's 7 divisions. You're adding an extra 224 games. This is a no-brainer. You just went from 196 to a lot more because now you've added an extra 8 games per region, which is 32 per division, multiplied by 7 is 224. You just added an extra 224 games based on going from 8 to 16. So now instead of 196, you've now gone, okay, let's do the math. 15 games times 4 times 7. You've now gone from 196 games played in the postseason, D1 through D7, to determine 7 state champions. You've gone from 196 games to 420 games. 420. That is a difference of 224 games. Now, as we've mentioned, 224 games. Okay. 224 games. Let's go $12 a pop times 3,000. Okay, that's 36,000. $12 a pop, $36,000. Now do that 224 times. That's $8,064,000. That's $8,064,000. That's the extra 224 games. $8 million. So when I sit back and say that 12 teams doesn't make any sense, we're not talking common sense, S-E-N-S-E. We're talking sense monetary, C-E-N-T-S. Makes a whole lot more sense to go 16. Doesn't make any good football sense because, like we've said, how many teams are going to bow out of this? How many of the 13 through 16 or 9 through 16, how many of those teams are going to sit back and go, yeah, no, not a chance in hell that we're going to go up against if you're a 16 seed and you finished 3-7, 4-6, and you got to go up against a 10-0 team that, they're the number 1 seed. Not a chance in hell. Yeah, we're gonna bow out. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to bow out of this. So then you're going to have, no games. And then these teams will automatically go right in. Look, there's going to come a point in time where it's going to be too much. And 16 is too much. I got to be honest, 12 is too much. Keep it at 8. Just keep it at 8. I understand the argument of 12, and I get it, but here's my problem with 12. I'm completely disagree with 16. The biggest reason why I disagree with 16, we brought this up. If you go to major college football right now, you play 12 games. If you're blessed to be a conference championship participant, you'll play your 13th game. All right, if you're good enough to go to the Final Four, you'll play a 14th game in the national semifinals, and you'll play a 15th game in the national championship game. Whether you finish as the national champs or the national runner-up, you will have played 15 games. Keep that number in mind. These are high school. These are not high school boys These are college men. These are 19 to 22-year-old men that are going to be playing 15 games. And that's if you're elite. That's if you're a championship or a runner-up in Division I big boy college football. If you're a championship conference team, you've played 13 games. If you don't go to a conference championship game, but you go to a bowl game, you'll play 13 games. If you go to a conference championship game and then go to a bowl game, but not the national semifinals, you'll go 14 games. Keep all of those numbers in handy. At the absolute worst, a Division I team is going to play 12 games. At the absolute worst, they're going to play 12 games in a normal season. At the absolute best, the team will play 15. You will not get past 15 games. The OHSAA's ridiculous rule of we're going to put 16 teams in the playoffs. The state championship teams and the state runner-up teams are going to play 16 games. One more game than 19 to 22-year-old men. Doesn't make any sense. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. But like I said, it doesn't make any sense, SENSE, but it makes all the sense, CENTS, in the world. That's the biggest reason why I'm completely against this entity and why I'm completely against the top 12. Again, if you're in the top 4, okay, you'll play 15 games. But if you're 5 through 12 and you happen to win your region and you go into you're going to be playing 16 games. It is absurd for any of us to sit back and tell a 15 to 18-year-old kid who is not a grown man, who does not getting paid, whether it be monetarily or through a scholarship, to play more games than someone who's getting paid monetarily or scholarship-wise to do it. It's absurd. Leave it at 8. Actually, and obviously you want to get some bucks along the way. In a perfect world, I'd have it at 4. How many blowouts do we see? 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, and 3 versus 6. How many blowouts have we seen through the years in the OHSAA playoffs? We've seen a crud load of them. And only, about 6 years now where we've actually gone mercy rule, where you run a running clock in the second half if you're up by more than 30 points. If you go top 16 or top 12, you're going to have mercy rolls out the wazoo in the first couple of rounds of the tournament. No, keep it at 8. It just... And even that's too much. For me, put it to the top 4 teams. And you lessen one week and say, okay, you're going to play 10 regular season games and you're going to get the top 4. So you play 2 games to win your region, 1 game to play in the state semifinals, 1 game to win in the state championship game, and there you go. But that's never going to happen because Pandora's box was opened, about 1999 when we went top 8. And we went top 8 because more money's involved. For me, if you can't go backwards, then stay where you are. Stay in the top 8. Because if we're really concerned about the health and well-being of the kids, and you think long and hard about this, and I know there's some high school coaches that are going to disagree with this, but look, at the end of the day, if we're really thinking about this, at the end of the day, whether it's 16 teams or 12 teams, you're asking the state champs and the state runner-ups, if they are 5 seed or less, to play 1 more game than a Division I champion. Because the D1 champs play 15 games. The D1 champs will play 15 games. I'm talking about FCS. We're talking FBS, the big boys, the Power 5 conference. Whoever wins the national championship is going to play no more than 15 games. Under this absurdly stupid rule, you are going to have state champions play 16 games in high school football. That is borderline abuse. It is. It's borderline abuse. You're telling a 15 to 18-year-old kid to play one more game than a 19 to 22-year-old fully developed man. That's borderline abuse. Just is. And I know people might get a little pissed off hearing that, but that is the God's honest truth. If you sit back and really think about it, and as dangerous as the game of football is, as violent as the game of football is, you're telling a 15 to 18-year-old kid, oh, by the way, now you got to play 16 games if you want to win a state championship. That is bullshit. Flat bullshit. When you consider that a Division I, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, fill in the blank, those kids, they don't play 16. At the very most, they play 15 games in a season. But you're telling a 15 to 18-year-old kid who's not fully developed, who is not a man like these guys are, they're just kids, you're telling them to play 16 games now. Really? Come on. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. We'll take a time out, be back in a bit.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your wallet to check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. All right, a couple of days ago, I dropped out a name in which the Cleveland Indians, or the Cleveland Baseball Club, as it were, they have 9 trademark names right now. They have put 9 trademark names on the docket right now in terms of where they could possibly go. Cleveland Citizens is one of the names that Major League Baseball has, or I should say that the Cleveland Baseball Club has signed up for a trademark. The Spiders are another one. The Commodores are one as well. There's a list of 9 of them. And look, this is a hot topic for a lot of folks. I get a lot of friends that are saying, hey, it doesn't matter what they're called. I'm going to be going to the stadium rocking my Indians gear, and I'll even have my Chief Wahoo gear. Okay. And then there's some folks that are saying, well, I mean, all this is Cleveland's going to be heading to Nashville when the lease is up. Stop that buffoonery right now. That's not going to happen. And let me tell you the team that's going to go to Nashville. If there is a team that's going to go to Nashville, it's going to be the Oakland A's. Oakland doesn't have a stadium, and their lease is up. Oakland has no interest in building a stadium for their team. So if there is a team that's going to be heading to Nashville without expansion, which I think Major League Baseball is going to do expansion within the next 5 years to get it to an even 32, and then they'll take a page from the NFL's playbook and have 4 divisions, 4 teams, and you simply won't have the wild cards anymore. I mean, in a perfect world, you would have a divisional winner where all you got to do is battle 3 other teams in your division, and there you go. And I think that's going to happen in the next 5 years or so, or at least it'll be announced in the next 5 years that Major League Baseball will expand by 2 teams. But I think if there is a team right now that stands to be a better chance at leaving than Cleveland, I think Oakland is the team that is going to probably be hightailing out of Oakland long before the Indians do. And listen, I mean, there's conspiracy theorists about the fact that the stadium lease is up at the end of the 2022 season. The television deal is up at the end of the 2022 season, and everyone's trying to put 2 and 2 together, thinking they're going to get 4. Well, you know, the stadium deal's up, television deal's up. They can leave, and there would be no penalty. Major League Baseball won't let anybody take this team out of Cleveland. It's not going to happen, especially now that the current ownership, that the Dolan family got rid of Chief Wahoo. Now, got rid of him on the uniforms. Look, Major League Baseball's not stupid. Yes, Chief Wahoo is not on any of the uniforms, but Chief Wahoo's still being sold in the gift shops. And Chief Wahoo is still a trademark of not only Major League Baseball, it's a trademark of the Cleveland Indians. Because they're making money off of Chief Wahoo. Those that think that, well, you're never going to see Chief Wahoo again, go to a gift shop. You still have Chief Wahoo gear in the Cleveland Indians gift shop. That's not going away anytime soon. Because Major League Baseball and the Cleveland Indians are making money off of Chief Wahoo. They're just not putting it on the Indians' uniform. And they're not going to put him as the, quote, or, well, I guess it was a he. It's a cartoon figure. We're not putting this cartoon figure as the face of the organization anymore. And Major League Baseball wants Cleveland to get rid of the name because, well, we're now in this culture era where you got to get rid of the names that offend people. Okay. Still waiting on Blackhawks, Braves, Chiefs, those teams. Waiting on those teams' names to be replaced as well. You will never see the Florida State Seminoles replaced. And let me tell you why. The Florida State University didn't want to offend. I'm sorry. Let me repeat. Florida State University, because God forbid we want to offend anyone that goes to the Ohio State University. Florida State University has a deal with the Seminole Nation. For those that never brushed up on their American history, the Seminole tribe was essentially in the Tallahassee and most of the state of Florida at one point in time prior to the people coming from Europe and whatnot and settling in the United States, which is settling into what is now the United States. Prior to the people coming from Europe and wherever else, the Seminole tribe essentially was a big part of the northern part of Florida and through most of Florida, but it was essentially in the northern part of Florida, in the Tallahassee area. And Florida State University gives a percentage of whatever money they make off of their Florida State Seminoles gear. And they give that percentage to the Seminole tribe. So you will never have the Florida State Seminoles change their name because monetarily the Seminole tribe is making money hand over fist on this. So you're not going to get rid of that gravy train. Let's be honest here for a second. I mean, let's be real honest here for a second. Money trumps bigotry or alleged bigotry or alleged That's not a good name. Okay. Florida State Seminoles, like I said, Seminole Tribe, they're making millions. Every year they get a check from Florida State University for whatever percentage they agreed upon of the amount of money that the Florida State University accumulated with all the sales of the Florida State Seminole product. The Seminole Tribe gets a percentage of that. They're making a crap load of money based on this agreement. So you would ask yourself, well, why are the Indians dropping their name? Well, it's the Indians. If it were the Apache, well, they could probably do the same deal. If Cleveland had been nicknamed a certain member of an Indian tribe or Native American tribe, they would still have the name if they had a deal with that certain Native American tribe and you give them a certain percentage of whatever money you accumulated or that you brought in with all of your gear, all of the stuff that's sold. You give a certain percentage to the Native American tribe that your team is named after, and there you go. That's the reason why Cleveland, they're not able to keep their name because, well, they were named the Indians. They're not named after a certain Native American group of Indians. It was just a generic name, Indians. And in these days, people are offended by that. Okay. I growing up as a kid, we did a lot of things that, now today you'd be like, oh my God, how did you do this? I'll give you a great example. When I was 10 years old, when my siblings all turned 10, the rite of passage, if you will, the rite of passage for all of us when we all turned 10 years of age, the rite of passage was you would fly by yourself out of Pittsburgh Airport down to Tampa, where Grandma and Grandpa Anderson would pick us up, and you'd spend a week with Grandma and Grandpa down in the Sarasota area. But you would fly by yourself because you're going down there to visit nobody else is, just you. This is your time to hang out with Grandma and Grandpa. And that was the rite of passage for all of us at 10 years of age. So my oldest brother, he did it in the early 70s. And then it was my turn in 1974. Took me to the airport, dropped me off, went on the plane, went by myself, went over to see Grandma and Grandpa, spent a week with Grandma and Grandpa, had a great time, go to the beach, fly back home from Tampa to Pittsburgh, and folks picked me up. There you go. Can you see a parent doing that today? Oh, hell no, they wouldn't. There's no way in hell anyone would do that. But again, that was back in the day. Well, back in the day, again, you would see a couple of people going to if you went to an Indians game, whether it was the old stadium or now at Progressive Field, and you would see a couple of people that would be, moaning and groaning about the name. The name needs to be changed, blah, blah, blah. But they would only be there for opening day because the Indians weren't very good, especially when they played at the old Municipal Stadium. They weren't very good, so they showed up on opening day. When the Indians had the All-Star game, they would show up there because it was the All-Star game. Well, everyone is going to be there, so you might as well be there to air your grievance. All the eyes are going to be on the All-Star game, so that's what you're going to do. When the Indians were a bad product, that's all you saw was opening day, and whenever they had an All-Star game, you'd see the protesters. At Progressive Field, when it was first Jacobs Field, opening day, And then when the Indians got really good in the playoffs, you'd see some people doing this. And finally, I went up to one of them and I said, listen, whether I agree with you or not is irrelevant. But here's my beef. You're doing this once a year on opening day if the Indians don't go to the playoffs. And if the Indians do go to the playoffs, and then you're hanging around during the playoffs, you don't care about this. All you're doing is doing this once, twice, 3 times, or however long the Indians are in the playoffs. Where are you guys in early May? Where are you guys on a Thursday night game in July or in the dog days of August when the quote crowds aren't there? Where are you guys then? That was always my beef with this. I mean, if you had a problem with this, and again, do I have a problem with the name? No, I don't personally. Of course, then again, I'm on my mom's side. I think we figured out I was like 6.25% Cherokee Nation because my great grandmother was half Native American, so filtering it down to about 6.25%, give or take a percentage or two. It's, I personally I can't relate. Now, I've grown up in terms of changing my opinion on Chief Wahoo. Yeah, Chief Wahoo, growing up, a cartoon character. I mean, it looked kind of funny, and yeah, it looked funny. But it was a cartoon character. Can I see the negative connotation toward the Native Americans with Chief Wahoo? Absolutely. No question. Again, it's a cartoon character. I grew up as that was a cartoon character. That was the, that was the insignia of the Cleveland Indians during my youth. But looking back on it now, absolutely, you can see the negative connotation toward Chief Wahoo. Absolutely. But I'm still like, okay, the word Indians is not offensive. At least to me, it's not offensive. Now, to some Native Americans, apparently it's offensive. And I got a really good friend of mine, graduated the same year as I did, and he goes out west every now and then. And one year he went out west with Chief Wahoo gear, and he was on a native soil, and they didn't take too kindly to the gear that he was wearing. Okay, I can understand that. It's, you kind of sort of evolve in that. Am I going to lose any sleep when the Cleveland Indians change their name? No. But by the same token, where are you changing this name? And what are you changing this name to? Because if the Cleveland Indians suddenly become the Cleveland Spiders, I'm going to be a little more than perturbed. I'm going to be kind of pissed off. Because okay, you went back to your heritage. You went back to a National League team that was so horrendous that they were shown the door. People didn't even want to see the product. It was that bad that they closed up shop in the late 1800s because nobody wanted to see this garbage product. It was a steaming pile of garbage. You were talking about a team that barely won 35% of their games. It was a god-awful product. I don't want to be associated with that. And I don't want to be associated with the name. Look, if you're going to change the name of the Cleveland Indians, make it relevant. Make it something that is about the city. And for me, I understand that the name was given to a WNBA team. But to me, you got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which, by the way, Cleveland is not the home of rock and roll. Let me just be real honest with this. And anyone in northeastern Ohio that tells you Cleveland is the home of rock and roll is out of their damn minds. The home of rock and roll is in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where Elvis Presley, that's where the early group that became rock and roll came out of. Sun Records out of Memphis, Tennessee, that became the hub of rock and roll music. The reason why Cleveland is considered the rock and roll capital of the world is because the first radio station that played rock music was located in Cleveland. So Cleveland gets the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame based on the radio station, but not based on where rock music came from. Rock music did not come from Cleveland. It was first heard in Cleveland, but it did not come from Cleveland. It came from Memphis, Tennessee. Sun Records in Memphis, which, by the way, is still, I think it's a landmark. It's not in a good section of Memphis, I promise you that. And by the way, neither is Elvis's place, the Graceland. That is not in a good section of town. It's still beautiful, but it ain't in a good section of town. I can promise you that. I've gone there way too many times. Anyway, Cleveland Rockers. That would be my choice. That would be my pick. You get a guitar. There's your logo. You know, jack that guitar up and, let's have some fun with this. If you had the Cleveland Rockers, I think it fits. It fits the fact that Cleveland has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It fits that it's, the, quote, home of rock music. It fits. Cleveland Guardians, yeah and no. Look, the name that would really fit, and it would go back to the Negro League history of the city. Cleveland used to have a Negro team. Now, unfortunately, Cleveland would never get this name because, well, a team in Columbus has it. The Negro League team was called the Cleveland Buckeyes. That's not going to happen because Ohio State has it. And you shouldn't even come anywhere close to that name because it's universally known as college football. The Ohio State Buckeyes. I mean, that's a national brand. That is college football for a lot of people in the state of Ohio. So the idea of changing the nickname to the Buckeyes, no, you're out the door. Not going to happen. I don't want to see the Spiders. Because you're going into an area where the Spiders were just a god-awful team, and why would you want to have that juju on you again? That's no, out the door. The Commodores, unless you plan on having Lionel Richie or someone from that group own the team, don't want them either. Guardians, no. To me, the Rockers works. That one works. Cleveland Citizens. This was one that was just a head scratcher. First of all, how the hell do you get a logo? What could you possibly get for a logo if you nicknamed your team the Citizens? What are you going to give as a logo? Are you going to give a sled as a logo and tip of the cap to Citizen Kane? I don't understand where the logo is going to be. No. Cleveland Citizen, out. No mas. Can't do that one. The other name that I think would work, because it's not a Native American connotation, although it does have a definition of the Native American, but it can have a connotation and definition of a lot of things. And it's the name that I call the Indians right now, the tribe. Just call them the Cleveland Tribe. You don't necessarily have to have, you're obviously not going to have Chief Wahoo as the logo because that ship has sailed. You're not going to happen. But, you get a logo for a tribe and just call them the tribe. Other people are going to be like, no, you can't do that. Well, no, actually you could, because a lot of people have, described a number of people that are of a living in the same town or of the same faith or of the same party or whatnot. They call them the tribe. Yeah. It's not going to be done, unfortunately, but I think tribe would be a great name. Rockers, again, I think the Rockers would be a fantastic name. Oh, well. So we'll see what happens. But this will this will be interesting, to say the least. We'll see what happens. But Cleveland has they have put together 9 names, Citizens being one of them. They've put 9 names together, and they are trademarking those 9 names, just in case they decide to pick one of them. So apparently now, because these 9 names are being, or at least trying to be trademarked, these 9 names are now allegedly the final 9, or whatever the final number of names are. Apparently there were over 1,000 names, and they're down to 9. So if Rockers is one of them, great. But I just, again, if you're going to change the name, you better change it to something that is really good. From a marketing standpoint, from a selling of the gear standpoint, you better make this one good. I'll give you a real quick story, and then we got to take a break and make room for the Power Hour. When the Orlando Rays left the Magic Kingdom in 2003, they moved the team to Montgomery, Alabama. And you get one shot with this. You get one shot with the nickname, and you get one shot with the logo and the gear. And it has to be spot on in order to get the most bang for your buck with people wanting to buy the gear. So Montgomery, the owners of the team, said, we are going to be known as the Biscuits. And everyone kind of looked at this and, what? What the hell? What kind of sorcery is this? What are you thinking? No, it's just it's a crazy name. Well, they had a mascot, and the mascot had a pad of butter as his tongue. It looked like a biscuit. Opened your mouth, and you had like a pad of butter. And the mascot was just brilliant. And as it turns out, the name, the colors, the gear, brilliant. By 2004, the Montgomery Biscuits were by far and away, not even close, the most desired gear in all of minor league baseball. And it wasn't even close. That's where the Indians, or the Cleveland baseball team, they're going to have to come with that kind of a gold mine type of name and gear, because you only get one shot at this. And look, Cleveland, the baseball team is going to make, if they get this right, they're going to make a ridiculous amount of money. And you include that along with the television deal, along with the stadium lease, you can see the Indians getting back into spending money again, because they're going to have a lot of money in the next couple of years. But they got to get the name right, and they got to get the gear right, and they got to get the logo right. Otherwise, all of this will just be, you didn't do it right, you didn't get a whole lot of money, and you pissed the people off that are supporting this team because they're not really down with the name. No pressure on you at all, Cleveland Baseball Club, but that's what you're up against. All right, we'll take a final timeout, be back to wrap this up. Stick around.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Hey, stick around. Power Hour is coming up next. DJ and the fellas will take you through the 3 o'clock hour. We will be back tomorrow. Anthony Hartwig will be joining me noon to 3. Brian Tilnar will be checking in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Boy, we got a lot to talk about with John Rahm being forced to withdraw from the Memorial last weekend because he tested positive for COVID. We got all that to talk about and then some. All right, make it a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk tomorrow, noon to 3. It'll be a Wednesday edition of Running Point.